what we're looking at here is Ryan's spare engine.
Oh, this is Ryan's?
This is Ryan's, yeah.
Oh, yeah, spare change drop in there? I'm Chris Forsberg, and this week in Garage Tours, we head out to the Pacific Northwest to meet up with our new friends at Nameless Performance. They recently teamed up with Ryan Tuerck to take on the challenge of Formula Drift, and they have been absolutely killing it. I'm Chris Forsberg, and welcome back to Garage Tours. We're out here in Woodland, Washington to visit with Nameless Performance. I first met these guys through Ryan Tuerck when he brought them into the Formula Drift scene, but they actually have a long history of rally racing in America and even a big aftermarket Subaru parts scene. So we're gonna stop by and check out their production. What's going on, guys? Yeah, nice to see you again. Yeah, the shop is awesome. Love it. This is Jason and John from Nameless Performance, and they came into the Formula Drift scene blazing with a podium finish in your first ever drifting event, which was just awesome to see you guys adapt so quickly from rally racing to the drift scene. And Ryan Tuerck behind the wheel of that FRS. Obviously have a lot more going on than just Formula Drift. You got rally cars here. I heard you do some production on Subaru parts and everything else. And do you do all that in the house here?
Yep, we've got full production department. We've got CNC machining capabilities as well as a full fabricated division. Our core competency is building exhaust systems from manifolds all the way out to the tailpipe, but we're starting to get into suspension and a lot of other components that we developed in the last 2-3 years doing rally and now in Formula Drift.
All right, well, let's go check out the rest of the shop.
Yep, I'll go and show you all of our production manufacturing division, and then we'll hand it off to John to show you the Motorsports program.
All right, very cool. Yeah, you obviously have a good manufacturing situation going on here. I see a CNC machine, press brake. You guys got a lot of machinery.
Certainly. This is the first step in our build process here in the fabrication room. We've got tubing all the way from 3/8 inch diameter all the way up to 6-inch diameter for a lot of our exhaust fabrication.
What do you use a 6-inch pipe for?
So 6-inch diameter tubing we're actually using to do some new prototype mufflers for Cosworth in the UK.
Muffler, that makes more sense.
Yeah, definitely. We actually CNC a lot of the tubing that we fabricate here. So we're here in our welding area. This is a set of the bends that we CNC surfaced back over at the machine. These come together, go into a fixture, and then get welded out. They go back into the machine, punch a hole in the top, so everything fits perfectly.
What is going on with this table?
So this is one of our oldest fixture tables in the building. A lot of our longer tubes for mid pipes and down pipes get built on this fixture.
Okay.
Most of our axle back fixtures are actually discrete fixtures that we just put on the welding benches themselves. And
all right, I get it. It looks a little confusing, but you got some color-corded lines here, fixturing out some different types of exhaust for all these different cars.
Exactly. We do all of the tacking operations here and then take the parts over to the weld benches to do all the finish welding.
Well, it looks like you got some finished products here. I see a couple variances between them. Why don't you explain what some of the differences are?
Certainly. So these are all 2015 WRX and STI axle back exhausts. We make a full turbo back for that car. But the axle back is what is most configurable. So we've got 8 different tip options, like the tips we have here, the ones that I was showing you earlier that we CNC machined prior to welding. We have 3 different muffling options. So all hand built, all built to order, fully configurable. You can choose your sound level, you can choose what tip style you want. If you have a stance car and you want quad 4-inch exhaust, we got it. Since all of our exhausts are hand built to order here, made in the USA, it does afford us the opportunity to have configurable options, which really does set us apart from the competition.
Well, I see you guys are doing some header work here too.
Certainly. This is actually our header for the BRZ, GT86, and FRS. It's a naturally aspirated header. That was a new endeavor for us, something that we decided we were going to invest a lot of time in. About 2 years ago, we started the project. About a year ago, we released the header. Wow. This is the 11th iteration of this design. We're picking up roughly 40 foot-pound of torque at the wheels on a 2-liter. Yep, exactly. 29 horse at the wheels. The real critical component here is coming up in front of the engine with the secondaries to get all of the secondary length as we needed it to get that mid-range torque, which the BRZ and FRS are sorely lacking right out of the box. So that's our manufacturing facility, and we'll hand you off to John over here in our Motorsports division. And
what's going on?
All right. Good to see you again.
Yeah.
Hey,
oh, hi.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you. Looking good. Very sharp. Well, I know where this guy came from, but John, why don't you tell us a little bit more about how Nameless got started and how you got into motorsports?
All right, well, Jason and I started the company building parts for normal street cars. And the best way to build the best parts is to test them in motorsports. So we started a rally team, basically, with a 2013 FRS. Built the most crazy rally car we could think of, testing our most extreme theories, and then migrated what we learned from that into our consumer product line. And that's really been the theme of our motorsports program since then, was try the crazy stuff, bring what we can to the consumer market, and then put everything else in our library for future motorsport work.
Very cool. And so from that point, moving forward, you fell in love with drifting, or did you get the phone call from Ryan, or how did this whole connection start off?
Well, I fell in love with race cars.
Yeah.
Then we got a phone call from Ryan, and it just was natural from there. And he wanted a crazy car. We build crazy cars. We build crazy everything. So it was kind of a natural fit. And
the dynamic from the beginning was definitely there, and it was really cool for you guys to be able to bring a lot of the rally stuff that you've learned over the years into drifting. And I think, you know, rally is the ultimate torture test of absolutely any part you can put on a motorsports car, and you guys figuring out how to set up suspension and find grip on gravel and dirt and ice and everything else, you can bring that into drifting, and it's only going to be a recipe for success.
yeah, and after rally, drifting's easy, and we're only moving 4 inches, right? In rally, we're moving 8 or 9 inches, and we got to keep the wheel on the ground.
Well, it's cool to see you guys come from rally and bring some of the technology into drifting. So what are some of the things that you guys changed on this car for the season?
Well, the biggest thing that's most noticeable is the anti-lag system. So it's a fresh air bypass anti-lag system. It's the same system that WRC uses, basically, that introduces fresh air from the boost system into the exhaust, adds it with fuel, and then spools the turbo. That's what the broken car sound you hear is. It's actually injecting air and fuel onto the turbo, which ignites and then comes out the tailpipe as an explosion.
Very cool.
Gives us basically full boost all the time, off throttle or on throttle.
That's insane.
More boost off throttle than actually on throttle?
Yeah, sometimes. Another thing we brought from rally is the Sequential Hollander transmission. It's a 6-speed sequential gearbox, and Ryan seemed to really like it.
Yeah, it's probably one of the best things that I have experienced, minus the drivability of the anti-lag off throttle, and just having boost and power right there is actually having 6 gears on a turbo motor makes your options on the track a lot easier. So we've actually gone to a fixed rear end setup as well, so we don't have to be so finicky on gear split setup and gear changes and stuff, and really just focus on suspension and just overall setup of the car.
All right, well, hats off to you guys here at Nameless. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. You got 3 podiums with an event win. You're up there in the championship hunt, but you know, I'm not too far behind, so don't get too excited.
I'm not. I never count you out.
So I know this is a similar chassis to what you have for Ryan Tuerck, but obviously it's very different. Why don't you explain some of the differences between, say, the drift car and this rally car here?
Well, the biggest difference are the tires and the surface it races on. So it races on logging roads through the forest at 165 miles an hour, so top speed. So we took a few cues from the drifting on this thing, added some more steering angle. We actually kind of needed it, widened the front stance a little bit. But this is where we got started. So all of our motorsports theory and understanding came from this car. Gravel is such a challenge because you need grip, right? And it's a loose surface to begin with. So the biggest challenge for us was finding grip on that. And this car allowed us to do that. So we've actually took a 2-wheel drive car and made it as fast as most of the all-wheel drive field. In fact, we beat a lot of the all-wheel drive turbo cars every time it goes out.
Now, was that just based on setup or the suspension travel, or maybe it's less weight because it's rear-wheel drive? Like, what do you think the key component is?
Well, it's a combination of things. It's the rear suspension. It's got fancy geometry going on, so the wheelbase shortens on braking and lengthens on acceleration. The wheel is always flat to the road, no matter what the body's doing. There's no restrictor, so we have 450 wheel horsepower. And the weight balance is perfectly 50-50 with the polar moment very, very close in.
Hey, so you say it makes 450 horsepower. What engine is in this thing?
It's an FA20 that we've massaged a little bit.
Okay.
It's really pretty basic. It's like forged rods, forged pistons, a little bit of headwork, and a big turbo.
One of the other things you were saying with the rear suspension, how it conforms to the bumps and jumps and everything. It's, is it completely aftermarket, or just using some factory locations, or?
It's 100% custom, including the towers. So we have the same coilovers in the front and rear, so it's McPherson in the rear now instead of independent.
Yeah, that's one thing we're not allowed to do.
Yeah, that's exactly right. One of the most important parts of running a successful motorsport program is having an in-house engine builder. We work really closely with Vigilant Motorsports. They're really, really good at what they do. And this is, right, what we're looking at here is Ryan's spare engine.
Oh, this is Ryan's?
This is Ryan's, yeah.
Oh, yeah, spare change drop in there?
So he builds these for us, all in-house. We have a machinist outside that does all of the critical machine work. Obviously, we don't have the equipment and facilities for that. That being said, we build all of our engines in-house, final assembly. All of the critical clearances and all of that are set by us. Then we actually have a build sheet on every single engine we do to monitor what works and what doesn't. We gather all that data so we can apply it to rally or drift or whatever we do next.
Well, thanks a lot, guys, for the tour. This is an amazing facility, seeing all the manufacturing process and also all the accomplishments that you have in motorsports and the tie-ins in between.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for stopping by. It's always good to see two competitors be friends off the track, and we'll let your buddy Tuerck show us out.
Where are you going, Tuerck?
Just showing you the door.
Huh? Okay. It's been really cool to see the technologies they've learned in stage rally and apply it to drifting, giving Tuerck that extra advantage. See you next time on Garage Tours.